Hello guys and welcome for today's build. Today I will show you how to build and properly set up the Omer rig from scratch. Here's all the parts I will be using for today's build. Here's the shelf. I bought a shelf called Omer from IKEA for approximately 85 bucks. Here's the graphics card I will be using today. I will be using the Power Color AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT. For splitters, I will use a 3-way splitter from Parallel Miner. These are supposed to be 16 gauge. And also, I will be hanging the graphics cards in the shelf. And for that, I will be using some zip ties. I got two sizes of zip ties because I don't know which one of them fits through the holes the best of the GPU. Here you can see the CPU I'll be using today. This one is really nice because it's included. It got included in the package. CPU fan that got pre-applied thermal paste. Ethernet cable. DDR4 Vengeance memory. One USB stick that got HighRes already flashed onto it. I can show you later on how to flash HighRes onto a USB stick or an SSD for that matter. And also we got a start cable, PSU, Corsair RM850. I got two of those. Also for today's build I will be using a power meter so we can see properly how much power the build and the graphics card, CPU, etc. are pulling all together and compared to HighRes. I'm using the same motherboard as the last build I've uploaded to YouTube because I've had zero problems with the motherboard before. They're extremely easy to set and got a fairly good price tag. This is the TB3060 BTC Pro version 6.0. It supports 12 GPU slots. You can fit 15 cards if you have a nice PCI splitter. And also we will use the newest version of the riser, the new locking mechanic, the version 10. Okay, so what I've done, I've lined up the GPU in the shelf and I've tied it up with the strips. And what you have to do after that is just trim it off. Just leave a little bit of excess. Just a little bit. Okay, there we go. And what I would do here is I would just continue with a second and a third and have 4 rows. But now sadly I only have 10 GPUs, but I will gather 2 more, so I have 3, 3, 3 and 3, so 4 rows by 3. So yeah, I will just continue on. One great thing with this Omer shelf from IKEA, that is that it's extremely cheap, and also when you're hanging the GPUs like this, you have insane amounts of airflow, and better the airflow, the lower the temperatures. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Yep, let's continue building. Okay, so our next step here, it will be applying the PCUs to the motherboard, also applying the CPU, RAM, CPU fan, the USB stick with HighRes, yeah, and also apply the cables to the start button that you can see over here. There we go. Okay, I will try to do all this by one hand. Let's see how it goes. The CPU, with 2 small holes. Well, holes. Well, I don't know exactly what it's called. There you can see on the sides. So it can only be mounted in one way specific. So you can see these 2 like pins. That's how it should be placed. And there we go. And just fold the lock down. You don't have to take away the shield because it will just pop right off. And there we go. Now that one is gone. We will plug in the start on and off cable. As you saw before, it should be oriented or placed on the 2 top right pins. There we go. And also, when we're running above 10 PCI slots, the instruction manual says that we need to power the motherboard or give it a little bit more extra power. I don't want to use one entire cable, one entire PCI cable, so I will use a splitter because you will only absorb approximately 50 watts, and these cables are rated for above 300. Now we will install the RAM. As you can see, there is only one way it could be mounted. Oh, that was one. And it has to be mounted in the slot that's the most furthest away from the CPU. You give it a little bit of pressure and you can hear the click noise. Yeah, there we go. We will install. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is, right in front of me. This is the one that is powering the CPU. It should be placed over here. ATX Power 3. According to the instruction manual, the PCU that is going to power the motherboard and also the first motherboard, it should be on the left slot of the ATX power. Just plug this bad boy right in. They can be a little bit stiff sometimes, so you can just wobble a little bit in. You will feel when it's, and see when it's completely down. Yeah, that feels good. Now we will take the second cable and push that one right in. There we go. And this will be the hardest part for me since I'm holding a camera. That will be installing the CPU fan. So what you want to do, you want to have the cable, so little cable as possible, freely on the motherboard. Let's see if this would fit. Yeah, it will. So what you have to do now, you're supposed to do this with 2 hands. You're just supposed to push these pins. You feel when they push through. Lift the motherboard up just a little bit. Give it some pressure. There you can hear the clicking noise. And the last one. There we go. Now we can take the cable and plug it into the one slot that's called the CPU fan. There we go. Yeah. And last but not least, the USB stick. And that's it. Now we'll just move this setup onto the shelf, the home station. Also, before I'm moving the motherboard over here, I will just put on the bottom floor a little bit of cardboard from the box that Omar, the shelf, arrived in, because I don't want the motherboard to short out, or the PCUs. Even though they are all connected to the same ground, I don't want to risk it, so that's why I'm having a little bit of space between the metal and the actual motherboard. Okay, so now it's time for applying the riser. So what you can do is just, you see the PCI slot, and there's only one way you can mount it. So what you have to do with this new locking mechanic, you just line it up and push it straight in. Quite hard with one hand, but yeah, I think you get the picture. And you can just pull softly, just feel that it's actually locked in place. So what we will do now, we will apply the PCI cables. We got 3 of them, and one we're connecting to the PCU. The first one we're applying to the riser, which only needs 3 pins, so we're removing the 7th and the 8th, and we need 2 8 pins that we're putting into applying to the graphics card. So that is something we'll do now. Just let's see. Just feel so it's completely in. And the last one we're pushing into the riser over here. I need 2 hands for this one. There we go. Finally. That is how it's supposed to look. You don't want to see any space at all. That's properly mounted. And also you can see afterwards how it looks. Now we just continue doing the rest of them. Okay, so now what I've done, I've finished putting all the PCIe splitters. As you can see, this is the final result. And also just tidied a little bit of like cable management. Looks way better. So what we will do now is we will plug in the first card. We will do that by plugging in the PCI extender, the USB cable, onto the motherboard. I have to move this a little bit to the left. There we go. It's a little bit stretched, but I can fix it. I can just move it one step to the right. And I will fix it.
So as you can see, the finished product pulls around 1600 watts, which cost me $3.5 each day. Awesome, so that is all the hardware done for my new Omer rig. I hope you have enjoyed this guide/tutorial. In the next video I will go through all the software setup for the rig, as well as setting up the USB drive, as well as how much money the rig generates. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. All feedback is greatly appreciated. Good luck and see you next time!